If you always felt responsible for others' emotions, you have these 6 traits. Take a moment and think about this. When someone around you is having a bad day, do you feel it too? Not just notice it, but actually feel it, like a weight settling onto your own chest. When someone is upset, does a quiet voice inside you whisper that somehow it must be your fault? And when there is tension in a room, do you find yourself working overtime, saying the right things, softening the mood, making sure everyone is okay before you even stop to ask how you are doing? If that sounds familiar, I want you to hear something important before we go any further. What you have been carrying is not a flaw. It is not weakness. It is not you being too sensitive or too emotional or too much. It is actually evidence of one of the most psychologically complex and deeply human capacities a person can develop. And today, we are going to talk about exactly what that means and the 6 profound traits that people like you almost always carry. But first, let's understand where this comes from. When we are children, we are not born feeling responsible for other people's emotions. That feeling is learned. It develops in environments where a child had to pay very close attention to the emotional states of the adults around them. Maybe the home was unpredictable. Maybe a parent struggled with their mood, their anger, their sadness. And without anyone explaining it, you began to understand that your job was to help manage that, to be quiet when they needed quiet, to be cheerful when they needed cheerful, to fix what felt broken, even when you were far too young to be fixing anything at all. Psychology calls this emotional parentification, when a child takes on the emotional responsibilities that belong to the adults in their life. And research shows that children who experience this develop extraordinarily heightened emotional intelligence, but they also develop patterns of self-abandonment that follow them long into adulthood. The good news is this: those patterns can be understood, they can be named, and once you name something, it begins to lose its power over you. So let's talk about the 6 traits you have developed because of this experience, and why each one is more remarkable than you have ever been told. The first trait is hyper-empathy. Psychology shows that people who grew up managing the emotions of others develop an almost extraordinary sensitivity to the emotional states of people around them. You walk into a room and you feel the atmosphere before a single word is spoken. You notice the slight shift in someone's tone, the tension behind a smile, the sadness hidden inside a joke. This is not imagination. Research in neuroscience suggests that people with high empathic sensitivity have more active mirror neuron systems, meaning your brain is literally wired to feel what others feel. Most people spend years trying to develop this kind of emotional attunement. You built it before you were even old enough to understand what you were doing. The challenge is that you may have never been taught that there is a difference between feeling someone else's emotion and being responsible for fixing it. Those are 2 very different things, and learning that difference is one of the most freeing realizations you will ever have. The second trait is that you are an incredibly perceptive reader of people. Because you spent so much of your early life needing to anticipate how someone was feeling before they showed it, before it became dangerous, before the tension escalated, you developed a radar for human behavior that most people simply do not have. Research in developmental psychology indicates that children raised in emotionally unpredictable environments become highly skilled at reading micro-expressions, body language, and behavioral patterns. You notice when something is off with a friend before they say a word. You sense when someone is lying, even when they are smiling. You pick up on the things people do not say just as clearly as the things they do. In professional environments, in friendships, in love, this perceptiveness is an extraordinary gift. The world needs more people who truly see others. You have always been one of them.
The third trait is that you have an incredible capacity for emotional regulation, at least for everyone else. Here's something that might surprise you. While you may feel internally overwhelmed, people around you almost never see it. Because you learned so early how to hold space for other people's emotional storms, you became exceptionally skilled at appearing calm, measured, and stable, even when everything inside you is turbulent. Psychology shows that this kind of learned emotional masking, while exhausting, also builds a genuine capacity for patience and composure under pressure. Think about the moments when someone around you was falling apart and you were the steady one, the one who knew what to say, the one who held it together. That was not luck. That was a skill you built through years of quiet, invisible work. The next step, the one that changes everything, is learning to offer that same steadiness and compassion to yourself. The fourth trait is that you are deeply loyal and deeply loving. When you care about someone, you care completely. Research in attachment theory shows that individuals who grew up taking emotional responsibility for others often develop what is called anxious secure attachment in their adult relationships, meaning they love with tremendous depth, show up consistently, and will go to extraordinary lengths to protect the people they love. You remember things people tell you. You check in when you sense something is wrong. You think about how your words will land before you speak them. You do not love halfway. That kind of love, that present, attentive, wholehearted love, is genuinely rare. The world is full of people who love conditionally, distractedly, superficially. You are not one of them. And the right people in your life feel that deeply. The fifth trait is that you have an unusually strong moral compass. Because you spent so much of your life acutely aware of how your actions affected others, you developed a deeply ingrained sense of fairness, responsibility, and care. Psychology shows that high levels of empathic concern, which you have in abundance, are consistently linked to stronger ethical reasoning and pro-social behavior. In simple terms, you think about the impact of your choices on other people before most people even consider it. You feel genuine discomfort at the idea of causing harm. You hold yourself to a high standard, not because someone forces you to, but because your conscience simply won't let you do otherwise. That's integrity. Real, lived, embodied integrity. And it's one of the rarest things a person can possess. The sixth trait is that you have an enormous capacity for growth and healing. Here's what the research actually tells us about people who have carried what you have carried. Studies in post-traumatic growth, yes, growth, not just survival, show that individuals who develop high emotional sensitivity through difficult early experiences are often among the most self-aware, most psychologically curious, and most deeply transformative people in any room. The fact that you are here right now, listening to this, trying to understand yourself more deeply, that's not a small thing. Most people never do this. Most people go through their entire lives without once stopping to ask why they feel what they feel, or where their patterns come from, or what they might be carrying that was never theirs to carry. You are doing that work, and that means your capacity to grow, to heal, to build a life that finally feels like yours is genuinely extraordinary. So here's what I want to leave you with today. If you have always felt responsible for other people's emotions, you did not choose that role. It was handed to you before you were old enough to refuse it. But the traits it built in you, your empathy, your perception, your loyalty, your moral depth, your capacity for growth, those are yours. They belong to you, and they are among the most powerful things one human being can carry. The work now is not to get rid of these traits. It is to stop directing all of them outward and begin, slowly, gently, without judgment, turning some of that care back toward yourself. Because you have always known how to love people through their hard seasons, it's time you let yourself be one of those people too. If this video resonated with you, it's because something in you recognized itself, and that recognition is the beginning of something important. Subscribe to this channel if you want to keep understanding yourself more deeply. New videos every week on the hidden psychology behind the traits, patterns, and experiences that make you who you are. You deserve to understand yourself this clearly. And I'll see you in the next one.